Hi, I'm Kristin Omdahl. I'm a creative entrepreneur embracing every aspect of life with artistic intention. Join me as I share the way I live and all the tips and tricks along the way. Allow me to inspire you to do the same. Please like, share, or comment on my videos. I'd love to hear from you. And if you subscribe to my channel, you'll be first to know when there's something new. Hi, I'm Kristin Omdahl. This is the first video in my Designer Support Program video series. I'm going to be asking lots of amazingly talented people in our industry to share some of their tips and tricks along the way and some of the advice that they not only wish they'd have received as an aspiring professional in our industry, but also some of the advice they could give you now, having all the experience that they have under their belts. I've chosen to interview myself for the first video in the series, and I've done that for two reasons. The first reason, because I think some of you probably want to hear what I have to say about advice in the industry, and it's important to me to also be able to share with you some of my advice from along the way. The second reason is because I want you to know that I'm giving my questions in advance to all of my guests. I don't want to surprise anybody on the air. What's important to me is that everybody has an opportunity to think about my questions and to come out with the most thoughtful answers that really can make a difference and help somebody else in their desire to be a part of the craft industry. So let's get started. When I started designing many years ago, I wish someone would have told me to stay focused on my strengths and always trust my gut when people give me advice. If it seems out of harmony with my dreams and what I want to do, then I should just thank them and walk away and do what I know is right. If it walks like a duck, it probably isn't a baby kitten. Just because this industry is built around hobbies and crafts, don't let it fool you into thinking it's not an industry. Not only is this advice that I truly wish I would have received when I first started, but this is the same advice that I would wholeheartedly give to an aspiring designer today. Sure, crafting is generally a hobby for most people, but I was a newly single mom of a toddler and desperate to find a way to make a living and stay at home with him. I forged my path with sheer determination, and I didn't look back. There was no plan B because we would have been destitute without it. My original dream job was to make knit and crochet garments for the fashion industry. When I began designing, I didn't know much about the pattern and craft world. I was self-taught in a foreign country without access to the internet, so my resources were really limited. Once I learned about magazines and yarn companies looking for patterns, I jumped on it. And my career as a pattern designer began immediately. There were so many less moving parts, and it seemed like a simpler plan, so I ran with it. My dream job now is much more complicated, though. I'm growing a lifestyle brand, and I want to see how far I can reach with it. I have a passionate message to help survivors of domestic violence, and I want to help as many people as I can. So my goals are far loftier these days, but I don't want to dream of specifics. I don't wish for a certain dollar amount in the bank. I don't wish for a certain number of subscribers on YouTube. I want my company to grow for the right reasons, in the right directions, to affect the most people in the best way possible. Walking through one of my typical work days actually makes me tired thinking about it. My days are very long. They're varied and involve many types of multitasking. I start reading emails from throughout the night around 5:30 a.m. I'm making breakfast and trying to finish up overnight laundry and dishes with a deadline of 7 a.m. to start driving my son. If I stop at the gym on the way back, I'm home by 9. Otherwise, I'm home by about 7:45. I work on so many aspects of business throughout the day. Communication with my suppliers, hunting down the best prices for supplies, researching supplies for new projects, reaching out to editors for new work, promoting my business in social media, replying to all the messages, texts, private messages, comments, shares, etc. personally. I think that's important. I'm designing knit and crochet if possible, but generally my days are too busy for that. I rush to make sure all the day's orders are put together, and I make sure all packing slips are personally signed, all orders labeled and ready for the post office. I leave by 4 to pick up my son and try to drop off everything at the post office along the way. If I can hit the grocery store or any other errands on the way, that's even better. Once we get back home, I start making dinner the minute we walk in the door. One of the new multitasking things that I'm tickled about is the fact that I'm videotaping making dinner now, so that I'm doing my food videos, but at the same time making dinner. I'm not setting up to do food videos separately, so I love that multitasking aspect. That's really exciting me. It's one less extra job that I have to do. Then we go back to doing homework, and I answer emails and edit videos, post to social media, do all that sort of thing. Try to while we're doing homework. If not, it's afterwards. And then I try to get to knitting and crochet by 8 p.m. and I usually work on that until I fall asleep around 11 or 12. Thankfully, and I truly mean this from the bottom of my heart, one of the easiest part of my job is coming up with ideas. I mean, knock on wood, I can't believe how exciting and how excited I get and how much ideas just bubble up out of my head and just get me going in a direction, and I just start flying out the ideas. It's amazing, and thank God, because I wouldn't be here if that weren't the case. One of the most challenging parts of my job would definitely be that I don't know how to shut it off. I don't know if that means I'm a workaholic, if I'm just, I don't know, work because I work from home. I'm not sure what the actual problem is or what kind of boundaries I need to fix it, but I don't turn off at all. I rarely take time off of work, and my brain is pretty much spinning about work or some component of work from the minute I get up to the minute I fall asleep. I'm not complaining, mind you, but I think it would be healthier if I knew how to take breaks. There are 3 people that I consistently turn to for advice, and it's really quite interesting because they're not all in our industry. One of them is a professional in the craft industry, one is a professional in a parallel industry, and one of them is a professional in a totally different industry. And I think it's just so interesting because I love and respect all 3 of them. They're 3 amazingly wonderful, talented, and kind-hearted people. But I love how differently their perspectives ground me. Here's something not many people know. I call myself the self-proclaimed queen of eBay. And the reason being is that I'm totally on board with the thrifting and secondhand clothes movement, but I don't have the time to go to thrift stores and rummage through all the other stuff to look for the nuggets of gold. And so I find that doing it on eBay is way more efficient for me. So I know what style of clothes fit my body type the best. I know what size I wear in certain designers that I love, and I do specific searches for them. And I'm so proud of the compliments I get on my clothes, especially when they cost me $10 or less. I think there are 2 main misconceptions about me. One of them is that I'm not nice because I'm quiet in the beginning of meeting people. I usually try to stay quiet and assess the situation before I get involved. And the other misconception is that I'm a pushover. Just because somebody is nice does not mean they're a pushover. I absolutely have a philosophy that I live by. I absolutely 100% live by the golden rule. What others do is not for me to judge or condemn. I'm the only person I can control, and I choose to share my love and passion with no reserve. I wake up in the morning and I think how to be the best me I can be every single day. And that's what makes me feel good when I go to sleep at night. The best time is right now. Always was and always will be the best time. I've had some really low points, near-death experiences even, but I've learned that I'm a survivor, and my message of love and compassion will help others because I have survived my tragedies without being jaded by them. I think that that's the most important thing. An important question to ask oneself, let alone someone you're looking to get advice from, is how do you stay ahead of the constantly evolving curve? How do you differentiate yourself, right? I constantly try to diversify. I try to vary the types of publications, the types of projects, the type of products, but I'm very cognizant of my brand and my mission statement. Whether I'm making doll clothes or evening dresses, I want my designs to portray my style. And the same goes with adding products to my lines. I'm very cognizant of what it means to my brand. It needs to make sense for the overall brand and my mission statement. Kristin Omdahl is brave. She stands tall for what is right. She is a survivor.